But that's Luke Scott. I'm Collin Neal, CFP Sports Talk, coming to you on the YouTube sphere. If you haven't already, be sure you like and subscribe. We have a lot of new faces here, Luke. We've passed 200 subs. We're up to 214 as we speak. Followers on X/Twitter, whichever one we want to call it. We've gained a lot. I mean, I guess we kind of have to thank Coach Keeler for the boost in followers, because my goodness, it's been a great. In other words, it's been great business for us, but for us as Bearcat supporters, it's been kind of a rough time.
Yeah, to be a little selfish there, it has been really good for us. We've seen a huge uptick in people checking us out and really, um, diving into the channel, which is always good. But yeah, you also lost your head coach, so we'll see. But it's definitely been good for business. Colin, I don't know. There's a lot of questions kind of going around of where we are as a program right now with the bowl game coming up, and a lot of the players that have announced that they will be entering the transfer portal. That doesn't mean they're leaving, but that does mean they're just putting their name out there. They will be playing in the game, so um, I don't know. I see it as they still want to stay loyal to the program and finish out a historic season. First ever winning season in the FBS. They want to be the ones to finish that out, but at the same time, I think they're also looking at as an opportunity to showcase their skills on national TV for other teams, scouts. So there's a lot of directions it could go. This next week or so. 19th is when the bowl game is, so we're excited for it.
Yeah, the Bearcats
Was it
officially.
19th and 17th?
It's on the 19th. The RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl on ESPN2. It's going to be a battle between the Bearcats and Georgia Southern. And Georgia Southern, for those that are not too familiar with their history beforehand, they were one of the best Division One AA powerhouses, in the country at that time. Then they moved up into FBS. Currently reside in the Sun Belt. The program is up and down, but they're still a really good program. They had a decent year. We'll get more into that matchup, of course, later on down the line as we lead up to the bowl game again, December 19th, Thursday in New Orleans, 6 p.m. Central Time. So if you can get out there, I mean, I'm definitely gonna really try my best to make it out there. I might have to pull a few strings with work, but we'll see what we can put together. And also, apologies, my voice feels a little weird right now. I've been sick over the past couple of days. It is that time of year. It's not just the fact when it gets cold, it's true football season. When it gets cold, it's sick season. It's allergy season. It's just sometimes really hard to you know go through it sometimes. I mean, Luke, I'm pretty sure you sympathize with that.
No, I don't, Colin. I think you just stick it out, to whatever you are, you feel.
Yeah.
It's 76 degrees outside, Colin. I don't know if you can see that. It's 76. It ain't that cold.
Oh, come on. Yeah, the other day it was 48 degrees in front up where I live.
I know.
It
I
right.
know it's pretty crazy. The past couple days it's been in the 40s and the 50s, gets up to nearly 80 degrees here, and then tomorrow it's going to go right back to being cold. So,
Yeah, it's literally 79 degrees right where I am, and it's going to drop down to a low of 46 on Tuesday to a low of 38.
welcome to Texas.
Godly. But we ball anyway. But let's kind of talk a little bit more about the head coaching saga going on at Sam Houston. You know, and kind of going to hand in hand with this with the portal. I mean, we've had a lot of players enter the portal this past week. I mean, it just seems like every day that there was a big key piece that leaves. I mean, you've got guys like Caleb Weaver that enter the portal, David Fisher, Trey Fields, Chris Murray, Isaiah Cash, Kendrick DeJour, other names like Simeon Evans, who just declared that he's entering the portal this morning on Monday. But he did say that he is going to play in the bowl game in a reply to in his own tweet right below the portal announcement. Davion Armstead is also heading to the portal, and just so a bunch of other guys. Jay Ducker also said that he officially entered the portal. So you're currently right now you have a lot of key pieces in the portal. Now I wonder. It's like you said, Luke. That doesn't mean that they're not leaving. They're just putting their name out there and seeing what their value is. It's the new age of college athletics, NIL transfer portal. There's nothing we can do about it, and I think in a couple years down the line, maybe we'll stop talking about it as much, and that we'll just get used to that. Get used to the fact that those things are a mainstay in college athletics. But I think they're also waiting on who Sam Houston hires as a as the next head coach and what kind of staff they bring over. Phil Longo has been a name that's been thrown around quite a lot. Tim Dowse, Clint Killaw, the UIW head coach. He seems pretty exciting. Josh McCown, Tom Herman's name has been thrown around there. Brian Bell. I mean, just a lot of these guys have in common is a connection with Sam Houston already. But Luke, I am curious, just kind of what have you, you know, from your perspective, what have you felt like about this saga of searching for a new head coach for Sam Houston?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've talked around and kind of gone some sources here and there, and I've asked, where you think they're leaning. Really good, reliable people, um, that would know some good stuff. And I'm definitely getting more of the inside. Been at Sam Houston before. I'm definitely more leaning that way, but. Like you said, the UIW coach, I'm blanking on his name right now, Colin.
Clint Killaw.
Correct, right. I think it's a very interesting name to be in there. He's done very good work there at UIW in the FCS, and it's not the same guy from the Cam Ward days there at UIW, but still he's done a very good job there. And I don't know if necessarily he's ready to jump up to the FBS, but there's a lot of really good coaches from the FCS, and I mean the North Dakota State guy just got hired away. There, Ince, right? So I think that's his name, Ince. Um,
First time I'm hearing about this.
no, yeah. So there's a lot of good coaches there, but I'm definitely feeling it's going to be more of the guy that's been here before, and whether that's Longo, whether I mean any of them, right? Douse, whether it's any of them, I'm sure it'll be a good decision and the right one. Um, but yeah, players aren't going to commit and transfer into Sam Houston when there's no coach because they don't know they don't know anything about him, right? It's hard to recruit a player when you say, well, we don't have a leader. So the best thing for them to do is to get this done as quick as possible.
Yeah, it is interesting. When we talked about kill law, a very common trend, maybe not too common, but you, programs, especially at FBS, hiring young coaches. And very high marquee example of that is Kenny Dillingham in Arizona State. 34 years old, 36. I'm blanking on that age as well, but I believe he's 34. He's led Arizona State after one bad year in his first year from an embarrassment in a way to college football, especially with the sanctions that happen and what the stuff that happened with Antonio Pierce, dealing with the fallout of that, and then turning them into a Big 12 powerhouse and the number in clinching a first round bye in the CFP and winning the Big 12 championship. I think teams are looking at that now and probably be like, we should probably start hiring. Maybe we could look at the younger side of things, like the young hot shots coming off the block. I'm not saying Sam Houston will go that route, but if they wanted to, it seems like Killaw is gonna be the person to go if Sam Houston wants to go that route.
Yeah, it could be. Colin, what do do you have a strong inclination from one or the other? I know we've asked this question before, and things can change, but you know, if you had to put the favorite on right now, who do you think it would be?
It seems like, I mean, I feel like it's Phil Longo mainly because it's a name that's been constantly been getting thrown around. He's been at Sam Houston before. He was here he was the play caller at Sam Houston in the Jeremiah Briscoe days when that it was that high flying offense, air raid, all that, and just and I'm sure that you know athletic director Bob Williams is weighing all his options, but I don't know. If you want my gut feeling guess, it would be Phil Longo to be the favorite. Maybe even somebody could come out of nowhere, Luke, and like surprise us all. Like we didn't really think this guy would be a candidate. I know one guy you were thinking of, Luke, is the UNLV offensive coordinator Brett Marion, and
And,
I just think the price tag would be a little too high on that.
well, I think he actually went somewhere. Um, I'm looking it up right now,
Barry
but I think
Barry Odom, the head coach, went to Purdue. Marion hasn't moved anywhere yet.
favorite to be Florida State OC.
No, I thought Florida State hired Gus Malzahn as the offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, you're right, you're right. Yeah, so maybe he'll get the head coach there. Yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know. UNLV's got a pretty good thing going on right now. Getting to play in the Raiders Stadium and whatnot. I'm with you, Colin. I think Longo is probably the leading candidate. If I had to pick one, I think I'd rather have Douse to be honest. Um, but
Douse is
I know
not really a common name that a lot of people know about, which is
I know
interesting.
I the really interesting name was Tom Herman getting thrown out there. I know it was more of an advisory when they talked with Bobby Williams and whatnot, but that's a very interesting name. I don't know if I love it. I don't. I mean, we all saw what he did at Texas. It was really good and then bad. I mean, it really got ugly there at the end and hasn't been great since. So that's I don't know. I would caution against Tom Herman, but the shock factor is definitely there with him.
That would be, or Josh McCown would be a hell of a shot factor as well, maybe.
Josh McCown would be fun. Josh McCown would be fun. I don't know. I don't know because right now he's with the Vikings, right? And
I mean,
that's a crazy jump.
you see what he's doing, helping out with Sam Darnold over there. With what's going on in good old Minnesota. But
Thing about it is,
it'd be fun. It's just hasn't hold a an OC gig yet. He just would be taking a straight jump to being a head coach of a college football program in the FBS level.
so all right. Question: if Sam Houston hypothetically, right, were to hire Josh McCown,
Okay.
and he's here for 2 years, right? Let's just say at the end of the second year, and Sam Houston, let's just say, um, 8 and 9 win seasons, and the offense looks good. Does he stay here any longer than 2 seasons?
See, that's a great question, Luke. I'm sure one of the main things that Bobby's looking at right now is like, okay, which of these guys is going to stay here pretty long? I mean, again, we mentioned this on the last pod. Sam Houston has only had 4 head coaches for football since 1982. That is ridiculous. That is unheard of, almost unheard of. And it seems like what Bobby wants is somebody that'll be here for a good while and not want to constantly have to worry about turnover. Speaking of turnover, I mean Conference USA is just getting hit by it. Has been hit by it for the last 2 years, but we'll get more into that later. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's funny because these kind of things when it comes to head coaching hires, they could be quiet. The news cycle will be quiet about it, and then one person hears another from a little bird, bam, things start going full like turnstile. And
Yeah.
the thing is, do you want? You said earlier, by the way, you want them to do it as soon as possible. Can you let the people know as to why you want it to get done as soon as possible? The
Well, I just don't want this thing to. I don't want this thing to drag out. I mean, so many times we've seen um, teams in a good spot struggle to make a leap and make a jump and having to transition from one coach to another, or it's whether it's in the transfer portal, coaches, um, top down leadership. I think you got to act and quick. You got to act fast, and you got to be aggressive in this spot because right now you're in a very interesting spot where yes, I know this past season's been very good to us, right? We're challenging for a 10-win season and our you know first ever time being in the FBS, winning, going to a bowl game. But you're also a brand new program in the FBS. I mean, it wasn't too long ago where we're in the FCS and playing there, and we all know what last year was. You have to be able to find a good hire that can be here for 5 to 10 years and really settle the ship. Take it into harbor and get the program settled in a little bit further in and try to establish some sort of uh, leadership, but just a consistent kind of thing going. And I'm losing the words right now, but the last thing you want to be is hire a guy for 2 years and he gets picked up, and you hire another guy for another 2 years or 3 years, and then he goes somewhere else. You know, and part of that is you're making good hires with those guys because people understand because people and other programs are seeing Sam Houston, okay, like they're hiring good guys and we can get from them, but you want to be able to have a guy that you can really plant your flag around and say this is our coach, this is our leadership, this is what we do, and this is what we're going to do for a while, and have that be successful. You don't want to be a turnaround program and 1 year it's good, 1 year it's bad. I mean, this is not good for anyone. This is good for everyone, right? So it'll be interesting. It'll be tough. I don't know who that guy is though yet, and I don't know if Sam Houston knows that guy. And if they did, they'd probably already hire him. But I have full faith in in Bobby Williams and Dr. White. They're going to make the right move here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Once again, just another key factor going into this one: the portal officially opened today. Technically midnight Eastern time. If you want to be, you know, very
It
specific
opened
about
today.
it, it opened today. Now, a few common misconceptions. Once again, we want to just remind y'all: just because they enter the portal doesn't mean they're leaving. Two, players can enter the portal at any time. They just cannot accept offers or sign with the school until it's that period. Okay? So and there is another window in the spring. That's also another thing to keep in mind. So it's not just this portal window right here that the next head coach for Sam Houston's gonna have to worry about. They also have another window they have an opportunity to pounce on in the spring. So just some things to keep in mind. Also, the fact that Sam Houston still was able to retain a lot of the recruiting class is really good, and I'm very excited to see this guys, especially like London Dion, 3-star wide receiver from Galveston Ball, Javion Johnson from Clearbrook, and you also got a QB coming in who I'm kind of interested in, Jax Brown from Weiss. Um, so and a couple other guys. Hopefully, I can release that video because I've been fighting this sickness I've been dealing with and I've just been holding off on it. So hopefully, I can release that out. And if it's already been released by the time we post this podcast, there you go. So, but yeah. But anyway, before we continue on, be sure you subscribe today to Sam Houston Sports Talk. Like us here on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on X/Twitter and Instagram. All right, let's head to the hardwood now because there's other sports going on, believe it or not, for Sam Houston. Women's basketball, they went to they're in their final stretch of the non-conference, and they went to UTSA, and I tweeted out on the account saying like this is an interesting test for the Bearcats. I mean UTSA is not a bad school in the American. Um, but they went in there, Luke, and they stayed competitive for a little bit, and then it just absolutely went downhill from there.
Yeah, and I think that's been their kind of what's gone on a few years now. It's good for a little bit, and then it starts going downhill. And UTSA is a really good team. I mean, but let's not act like this game was really that close to even begin with. I mean, we got outscored 12 points in the first quarter, and it got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Only scoring 13 points in the second half is really rough. Um, you know, Kaylee Kelly 1 for 12 from the field. The leading scorer was Whitney Dunn. She had 16 points, but no one else even close really to double digits. So tough outing, but you also have to credit UTSA. I mean, UTSA is 7-1 right now. That's a
Yeah.
good team there in the American, and I wouldn't read too much into it. I'm still waiting for conference season, really with both teams. But yeah, to get beat like that's a little frustrating.
Yeah. It's. I mean, they forced a ton of turnovers. Um, against UTSA, I got the number right here. They forced 17 turnovers, but it's the fact they didn't execute off those turnovers, getting those points off turnovers, I should say, is what kind of killed them at the end. I mean, and also getting
Well,
out rebounded is pretty bad as well by a
Colin, we
lot.
might have forced 17 turnovers, but we had 20.
Yeah.
I mean, it was even worse for us, right? So you gotta hang on to the ball, and you can't quit or commit too many of these turnovers. I mean, some of them are very simple, and then some of them are, um, I think come down just coaching. I think the entire coaching staff needs to be better. And this program's not been its best for a while, so you got to give them some time here. But still, I mean, that was not too pretty. But we got to shoot better too, Colin.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
we can't put the basket or we can't put the ball in the basket.
Well, they have two more opportunities to try to get things going. They will be off to Southern Utah next week on Monday, December 16th, 7:30 p.m. And then they'll come back home and they'll face Houston Christian in Houston at 1 p.m. on December 20th, and then they begin the conference play against New Mexico State on the 2nd. And I agree, Luke. I agree. I want to wait until conference play as well to see what goes on. Um, what they can do. I mean, non-con's not really non-con's non-con at the end of the day. It's more important for other teams than others, but you still wanna do your best in non-con and show that you're ready to compete with a tough Conference USA that has really good teams. Like, and I'm not exaggerating because we're in Conference USA, Luke. Like, there are really good teams in there, especially Middle Tennessee, who advanced out of the first round last year in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know. I hope they get things going because I want them to succeed and I want them to do better than last year in conference play. It's just after UTSA, there's just a lot to work on, and conference conference play is around the corner, so they are running a little bit out of time. And if they can't get things going in non-con, it makes conference play look a heck of a lot harder, especially for the ones on the outside looking in.
Colin, I think the easiest way to look at the season so far: have we beaten anybody? No. Have we lost to bad teams? No. Have we played some good teams already and lost to them? Yes. I mean, I feel like we've lost all the games we should have lost, and we've won all the games we should have won. I think that's the easiest way to put it coming into this. And I think that Rice game kind of stings right now a little bit because it was very winnable.
Mhm.
Um, and we played good against Kansas. That wasn't very good from us against UTSA. But you got to find a way to bounce back. If you can, I'd like to think of us being better than Houston Christian. Hopefully, um, you beat them, and I think it could kind of go either way. Southern Utah, because it's in Utah, I think that'll be a tough matchup. Tough travel out there. So we'll see. I would say we probably go 1-1 in this next two, but um, hopefully it's 2-0.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, let's switch on over to the men's basketball. I posed this question at the beginning of the pod. Are they better? Are they much better than what what their record shows and all that? Um, Luke, they're missing their starting point guard right now on Marcus Boykin, who he wasn't wearing a brace. He wasn't wearing a brace on his right arm like he was in the game before against Texas Southern. Yeah, that's right. It was in UNC Wilmington. He suffered that injury in Wilmington, and then he was wearing, and the Bearcats got throttled by Indiana. I mean, it's just hard when you don't have your starting point guard. It's also hard when you don't have your best defender on the floor. But the fact that obviously it's not the end all be all, but the fact that Ken Palm still kind of ranks him a little high, pretty highly a little bit at 130 that I looked at last night, it's interesting. Because it's interesting, and I I kind of pose this question: if things start clicking once conference play comes around? Because if you remember last year, Luke, Sam Houston men's basketball struggled in conference play or non-conference play, excuse me. But then when conference play came around, things started clicking. Like where was this version of the team in non-con and to begin with? Do we see a bit of the same thing this year, or is it just or are the injuries a little too much to overcome?
Remember last year? Last year, I mean, it was Grand Canyon, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State. Um, who else was in there? I think Texas Tech in there. At some point, like
Yes.
last year was a really tough non-con, and this year's been tough too. I mean, App State was a good was tough. I mean, that was a winnable game. It's not like we could have we lost that we got blown out. I mean, against UNCW or App State. I mean, those games were very winnable games. And the Indiana, you're going to lose against Indiana. I mean, it's Indiana, right? Up there in Bloomington, that's going to be a tough place to play. Um, I think the team is better than 5-5. Um, if you would have told me at this point that we would have been, 7-3, I would have said, yeah, I believe you. Or, 6-4, 5-5. Like I would have said yes. I would have said nothing less than 5-5. Um, the injuries have hurt, no doubt, and being able to only dress, 7, 8 guys sometimes has been tough, and that's just got to be something that the team figures out. You have to talk, that'll be on Coach Mudge and the staff to really figure out, okay, how do we go through this schedule, um, not as deep as we thought we were going to be coming into this season. And I think the best thing for us would be just to be a little bit better down low. Whether that's Scroggins, Sacco, it's been good, but we need it to be a lot better um, to kind of stabilize the ship a little bit. And you're going to get the chance. Um, Another tough one coming up with Pitt there on the 21st, but it's kind of similar to the women's team where have we beat anybody that's like super respectable? I would say no. Maybe Colgate. I guess Colgate would be that team, but we've lost to really good teams too, and so it's the jury's still out on them. And I've said that before, and I'll say it again. We have to wait until really conference play to really get a good view on things. But to answer your question, I think the team is better than 5-5. And Lamar Wilkerson's been great. He's averaging 20 a game. We need Hoofner and Finister to kind of pick it up, I think, a little bit. Um, if you can get Hoofner at 16 and you can get, Finister, at 15 or 14 a game, that'll help the team a lot, and things will trickle down there. But we just got to get healthy, Colin. I mean, losing your point guard this early in the season's tough.
This past game, Texas Southern, the Bearcats were down 36-32 against the Tigers, a team that they were 11-point favorites going into this when the Bearcats were. And at the end of the game, you could see it on TV. I wasn't at the game, but you could see it on TV that Mudge was absolutely fuming and frustrated and irate with his team because they couldn't rebound. It just looks like they weren't executing. And Luke, they came out of that locker room and just went bonkers. Like they outscored the Tigers 55-35 in that second half, winning 87-71, covering by a comfortable margin against the Tigers. Wilkerson 26 points, career high 8 3-pointers. Hoofner 22 points, 6 rebounds. Sacco 8 points, 11 rebounds, near a double double. Brennan Birds, who's been filling in for Boykin while he's been out dealing with the injury, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and you know basically what Boykin does is fill up that stat sheet, and that's what Brennan Burns has been doing. Finished her 13 points, 5 of 14 shooting, not really not really. Could be better. 2 of 6 though from downtown. You'll take that. Also a steal, a block. Um, yeah, Hammers was 7, Scroggins with 3 points. So yeah. Also, CJ Beaumont has been up and playing. He's been a guy that much has been excited to get some minutes here. But yeah, it's just tough to navigate in college basketball when you don't have not just depth but scoring depth as well. I mean, the Bearcats have one thing going their way. They have the experience. Because in March Madness, what have we've seen it over and over again in the years that experience usually almost wins.
Yeah,
Um, you
yeah. The older teams are the teams that can really, make runs. It's not many times where you see the five freshmen, All Americans make a deep run. Usually those are the teams that you want to try to fade.
I wonder.
That is no shot towards Coach Cal.
I was. Hey, you said it, not me. You said
No,
it,
but
not me.
Colin, the big story of that game, Colin, was the 3-point shooting. In the first half, it was we shot 5 for 15. That's 33%, which is it's okay. It's not great, but it's not good. It's not awful. It's just kind of there. But in the second half, Colin, we shot 56% from three, 9 of 16. Colin, the 3 points, the 3-point shot, that was over half of our field, or nearly half of our field goals attempted. I mean, we shoot more threes than we do anything else, and when you're able to hit on nearly 60%, well, Colin, that's why we had opened up that scoring margin, by so much. I thought, the second half we played much better defense. Of course, when the shots are falling, it's a lot easier to play defense because, you're more confident. Things are going more your way. You're going to play a little bit harder. That's just how it goes. Um, but we should be beating Texas Southern by more than however many. What was it? 16 points, 17
Yes.
points.
Yes. 16.
We 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 should be beating them by 25 or more. I mean, I think, and I know Texas Southern's a very good program. I mean, Texas Southern has been the kings of the SWAC for a long time. But if you want to race that next level, Colin, you got to beat up these bad teams. I don't want to call Texas Southern bad because they've been in the tournament forever and they always win the SWAC. But you got to beat up the teams that are beneath you. And I think Ken Palm is still kind of giving Sam Houston a little bit of credit from last year and showing some grace with the injuries and whatnot. Um, this game with Pitt will be interesting because Pitt's kind of been an up and down ACC program, still a very quality team. But it does give a shot here to Sam Houston to maybe try to pull an upset.
Yeah, they will be facing St. Thomas of Texas on December 16th before they head on over to good old Pitt. It'd be a nice little warm up game. Well, it'd be interesting to see if there are some players that might come back. If maybe Boykin's ready to come back, maybe they throw him out there. Maybe they don't wait. Maybe they don't, put him out there. They just play it safe. Make sure that when he's ready, he's 100% ready to go. Which hopefully it's conference play. Um, and CJ Beaumont as well. I will say I am pretty although inconsistently in the stat line. Yeah, sure, a little bit weird, a little bit not where you want to be, but the fact that the freshmen are doing their part as well, taking advantage of the minutes. It not just for now, Luke, but in the future, it's a pretty good sign. I think Jackson Ford, especially, is a guy to keep an eye on for the future.
Yeah, yeah, and his role will progress. I think a little bit as with the injuries and kind of what's been going on. They're going to need some more big minutes out of him, and we didn't see him as much against Texas Southern. He only played 7 minutes, but before that, he's played more. So I think these young guys are gonna have to step up. Brennan Burns has been very good for us. Um, he's a guy that I look at that doesn't turn over the ball much. He gets the offense going. He can hit the occasional shot or two. I like Brennan Burns, but you can definitely tell there's a need for Marcus Boykin. There's a need for him back, and it's no shot at any of those guys, but he's been a guy that's been around the program now for a couple of years, and you recognize that um, what his role was coming in before this game or before this season, and we're missing that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We still got a long way to go. I don't. It's just pretty unfortunate start to the season for the guys, but they. It's what Coach Mudge always talked about how these group of guys that he has go they all what they always you know they always try to deal with adversity best they can, and Coach Mudge talks about how much they go through and teach how to go through adversity. So,
And Colin, we got to shoot free throws better. 15 for 24 is not cutting it. I mean, last year was last year. We know we shot free throws really well last year up until the tournament, but Colin, we have to shoot free throws better. I'm not giving any slack on those.
maybe we it's a little reverse psychology. We do pretty bad in the regular season and then get good in the conference tournament. How about that?
Hey, I would take it. If we win those games.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, well, that'll do it for us here for CFP Sports Talk. Who knows if this episode even sees the light of day, because we might get some news that we might have to just scratch this whole damn pod at the end of the day. Maybe Sam Houston hires
the playoffs here.
The playoffs are here as well. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to save it till like later on?
We could talk about it a little bit.
Okay. First of all, Ohio State should not have a home game. That's all I will change. That's all I would change, in my opinion, for the CFP. Everything else, I love it.
I agree. I think when I see some of these teams that have just beaten up on Michigan all year, and Ohio State loses to them at home, and I know it's a rivalry game, and I know, I get that. I understand, it could be different. But there's no way you can tell me that they deserve a home game over Tennessee. Over they beat Indiana. I'll give them the Indiana win, and I know they beat Penn State, but Penn State's never beat anyone with James Franklin. James Franklin, did you see the stat, Colin? He is 0-12 against an AP top, I think it's either 5 or 10 team since he's been here. It's the worst record in the history of college football. This guy has never won a big game. James Franklin.
Did you see the press conference thing afterwards, where it was the Oregon band and like the fans celebrating the win in the background when he was doing the press conference, and he called like the whole thing a JV setup?
Yeah, well, I guess. No, you know what? I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, you're a big James Franklin guy, aren't you?
No. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't like Penn State. State Penitentiary. Not a fan of them.
We are.
Although my Dallas Cowboys always seem to draft guys from Penn State. That's the tough part. When I see a guy play at Penn State, I'm like, yep, he's going to be a Cowboy at some point. Like, he just will.
We are.
No, I'm not. Colin, of the teams, who do you think has the best road to the championship?
Well, it seems like the most common answer that is being given out is Penn State. I don't know. I feel like SMU can give them like a tough go at it. If they're honestly, Luke, if that second half defense for SMU shows up against Penn State, the Penn State's is gonna have a tough time. But they're also saying that because they're also saying Penn State has the easiest route because of SMU. Then if they beat SMU, they go on to face Boise State in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, which honestly you don't want to face Boise State in a Fiesta Bowl. I mean,
no.
history tells you that you don't want to. But the thing is, I don't know, Luke. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't know who has the easiest path. I mean, because this is this is a totally different field, like format this year. How are certain teams gonna react? How are teams that, you know, ended their regular season, like Penn State, losing in the conference championship? Is it going to affect them that much? Ohio State, is it them ending their season on such a negative note like that? Is that going to affect them heading into this CFP? Because they're a home game against Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah. How
It's
impactful is the bye? How impactful is the teams having the week off, whereas other teams didn't? Especially also the teams. I know we have a week in between, but still, these teams that haven't been able to play, like a Tennessee, like Ohio State, that haven't been able to play in weeks now leading up to that game. How are they going to be able to get up after not playing for 2.5 weeks? In some cases, and have to play against a really good team that just played, this past Saturday. That's something that I'm looking at too. Um, you think Penn State though has the easiest road?
if I were to say, you know, if I were to say it, yes, but I don't know. It's just again,
What do you think about Indiana and Notre Dame?
I you said it once on the off air one. I think it's going to be a war probably.
Yeah, yeah, state championship.
Literally battle for Indiana. There's not a rivalry name for that, by the way. I found out there's not a name for that. I don't think they.
Well, IU and Purdue is more of the rivalry
Yeah,
because
well,
Notre Dame kind of stays separate.
Notre Dame's
But
also in North Indiana.
yeah, yeah,
Isn't it weird, by the way, that the place they play in is called South Bend, even though it's literally in North Indiana. I mean, either way, but
I no, it's not weird
yeah, well, maybe I'm just looking too much into it.
because what is the South Bend?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know.
Isn't it right? Isn't it right on one of the Great Lakes right there?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's why I would think
Is it gonna
it's on the
be?
southern end of.
Is it gonna be snowing? That's a good question too.
Could be. It could be. But yeah, that game, Georgia. I'm interested about Georgia because they're the team. I mean, obviously they've beaten Texas twice now, and they lost against Ben, but they've had some really bad losses, but then they've also looked really good. And now with this quarterback that came in, Carson Beck's out. I think possibly indefinitely. I
No,
mean, I think it's a
I think he is. I think it's a UCL injury,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's Tommy John like right there. And you could even see a clip of him on from the live airing of the game. You can hear him verbatim, like you can hear him say it's bad
yeah.
with like just a death stare on his face. So it's probably not. It doesn't look good for Carson Beck right now.
I mean that winner of Indiana, and Notre Dame, Colin. If you're getting a week in Georgia, we know Penn State's right there. Penn State doesn't win big games. Could it be? Could we be looking at an Indiana or Notre Dame in the national championship?
Mm, I know Notre Dame wants to,
But like,
you,
also, I think Boise could take them all down there. I mean, really. I mean, I think Georgia beats Boise, but I think Boise State can beat anyone else down there.
mm. Do you think you think Boise beats not Boise. Do you think Boise who would they do you think Boise beats Ohio State?
That would be in the championship game. I don't know. I think they could because Ohio State. Oh, okay. This is my
Oh,
thing, Colin.
actually no, that wouldn't be right. Does Boise State beat Penn
Boise
State?
State plays the winner of Penn State. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think they could because I think Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon can all be pushed around a little bit. I think they can just be beaten up by that offensive line of Boise. I think Ashton Jeanty could probably just. I mean, he already ran over. He ran for like 200 against Oregon already. I think he could do the same thing to Ohio State.
This is tough, man. I it's gonna be tough to pick a winner out of this. You could say Oregon, obviously, because undefeated, number one in the country to win it all. But there were at times where they looked a little shoddy, like especially at the beginning of the season against Idaho, the Go Vandals, Boise State, who they only beat by a game-winning field goal as time expired. Um,
Ohio State
yeah,
only by 1 or 2 points, wasn't it?
and it was only because Will Howard didn't realize like how much time there was on the clock. Um, this is pretty. I think it's a bit of a much more open field than people think. I don't think there's a clear cut champion at this time.
If you okay, would you take Oregon or the field?
What?
Would you take Oregon or the field? Meaning everyone else or Oregon?
I mean, I'm a big Dan Lanning guy. I mean, but Georgia. If you put, if but the thing is, if you put, uh,
If Carson Beck's there, I think Georgia can beat them all. But without Carson Beck, I don't know if they're going to be able to really stretch the ball. And how much can you rely on that defense? I mean,
that's the thing. What happens when Oregon's offense goes up against Georgia's defense? Like that's a
or like
battle.
a Tennessee or a Texas defense. I mean both those. I mean they don't mess around either.
I think Texas has the. I think Texas and Georgia are the two best defenses in the country. That's I think you can say
Yeah,
that pretty fairly.
yeah, yeah.
So is defense going to be the big thing this for this CFP, or is it going to be the offense? Like you never know. You just never
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. It's one interesting thing is being an Austin guy, seeing Cade Klubnik, who is a Austin Westlake
Oh really? I didn't
high
know that.
school. Yeah, he's playing Texas in Austin, which is a rematch of South Lake Carroll versus Austin Westlake in the state championship 6A finals. It was against Ewers and Klubnik came out on top on that one. Westlake is usually a much better team than South Lake Carroll, but still, I mean that's a nice little storyline too, right there.
Yeah. You got. I mean, you got three. You got three really good Texas quarterback legends in this this year's CFP. Jennings up in SMU, South Oak Cliff, who probably will win their state championship this year, because they're pretty good this year and 5A Division two. But I will.
Yeah.
But let's get before we end off. We are dragging a little long, but I am curious, Luke. Alabama, were they left out unfairly, or did the committee choose the right team in SMU?
The committee did the right thing. And I'm not just trying to be a Texas guy and root for SMU just because they're former Conference USA team and being from the state of Texas, they did the right thing because you can't. I understand their strength of schedule was not as good, and I understand that they didn't play the caliber of teams and don't have necessarily have better wins uh, than Alabama, but Alabama has really bad losses. I mean that loss to Oklahoma is awful, Colin. I mean they got thumped by it was whatever it was, 20 something points. I'm not putting a team that lost to Oklahoma by 20 points this year
But Luke,
in the college football playoff.
but Luke, the SEC refs screwed them out of a fourth quarter touchdown from Ryan Williams because of you know,
But you know what's funny? Watching that the selection show, right? The
yeah.
end all be all, and they had Nick Saban on there, and Nick Saban, oh man, he was so pissed. He was so mad, and I like Nick Saban. I actually like Nick Saban. I like greatness. I like watching the greats, and but he was, oh, you could tell he was ticked off. I mean, he was upset.
It looked like he wanted to come out of retirement right there.
He was. But no, I think they did the
what
right thing.
what really okay, what really got me on my nerves during the selection show is that even mentioned Alabama losing to Vanderbilt and losing to Oklahoma. Like it didn't even matter. I also kind of had a revelation this year, and I want to give thanks to good old Kelly Ford ratings. We've retweeted their work before on Twitter/X. It's kind of like a Ken Palm, but not like on Ken Palm's like national recognition level. But you know, Kelly Ford has talked a little bit about strength of schedule. They said that it is more of an explanation and not a metric. You know why, Luke? Because it doesn't tell you the quality of the team that has faced that schedule. Because obviously, because yes, they'll be facing other teams, but does with like really of great difficulty. But does it exactly tell you the quality of, let's say, SMU to Alabama? Because if you put SMU and Alabama on a neutral site, who's winning that? Like if you,
Are you asking me
I'm asking
my
you,
honest
I'm
opinion?
asking you, what do you think?
I think if you played the game 10 times, Alabama would win a lot more time. I think they'd win 7 or 8 times. But those couple times that they'd lose, they'd get crushed. I mean, they're just so up and down. I mean, you can't bank on them. You can't bank on them really competing at their full potential. I think Bama is probably the better team. But Colin, you can't reward. I looked at it like this. I have sympathy if you lose 2 games and you miss out of the playoff. I'll have sympathy for you. If you lose 3 games, I'm out on you.
Especially when two of those losses are to 6-6 teams.
Yeah, yeah. And
Were they on the
I
road?
know.
Absolutely, but you were expected because of the team that
Oh
you.
yeah, you're Alabama. You're expected to go and beat Vanderbilt. You're Alabama. You're expected to go and beat Oklahoma in a down year in their first year in the SEC. You should beat them. Under Nick Saban, those losses don't happen. But obviously that's not the case anymore. And so I think you can't look at Alabama being the same program as you can have been able to for the past, since 2008 or whatever, whenever Saban's first year was there. You can't look at that. You have to look at it as someone do. And I know they bring in a lot of revenue and they travel. The fans, it's some of the great fans in college football are Alabama fans. But you have to respect the schedule and you have to respect the record. At the end of the day, 9-3 is 9-3.
Low key might tune into the Paul Feinbaum show when I'm editing just to see the what callers are saying. I mean,
Well, Joel Klatt was pretty upset. Joel Klatt was on the Alabama train.
yeah, I mean,
Do you like the playoff format though, with the 4 buys for the conference champions? Do
I
you
th-
like that?
I think you should be absolutely rewarded for winning your conference championship. That's all I'll say. Now I think the first round bye format is good. I just kind of think they screwed up a little bit on in the first round, like where the
I don't
seedings are.
understand the fifth conference champion. Is that always 12? Are they always going to be 12, or can they be wherever?
So that's it. That's a good question, Luke. And no, it's not always going to be 12. Because let's say if let's say if Clemson got actually bumped up quite a few spots to 10, they would be the 10th seed because they would be because basically it goes by the rankings to see what the CFP gives the rankings,
Yeah.
and because you know Clemson was ranked on the CFP rankings lower than SMU, while SMU gets the 11th seed, Clemson still gets the 12th seed because they were ranked lower than the 11th seed in the CFP rankings in the
You
CFP
know,
format.
whenever they released the bracket and they were going through it one by one, and they had Clemson at the 12 seed, but they were ranked. Their ranking didn't change. They're uh,
Mm-hmm.
number 16 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that, I thought, oh no, they're gonna screw SMU, because when I saw it, I was like, okay, they didn't respect the SMU to move them higher in the win. They didn't respect SMU, and so I was thinking, oh my God, they're gonna kick SMU out and put Bama in, but they didn't. which was really surprising. But thank you for clearing that up because I didn't know. I mean,
Uh,
this whole time they
let's
always had Arizona State there and SMU wherever, but that was a big win for Clemson.
hey,
Big win for Dabo.
let's be honest here, Luke. They did not expect They did not expect the group of five, uh, to be in the top four as one of the
So you
top
think
four
it should
teams.
just so you think it should just be like automatic bid, like auto qualifier, like the NCAA tournament, where
Abs-
okay they're in, but their seating's not their seating doesn't. I mean, their seating isn't impacted by that.
well,
I mean, it
here's
is, but it's not a direct.
well, here's the thing, Luke. I just don't understand like FCS and all the other levels down there. They apparently have it right with the tournament bracket, but when it comes to FBS, it has to be different. And I mean, people want to go back to the BCS, BCS era with the with the computer algorithms that would choose the top seeds. I mean, do we all really want to go back to that? Because there have been teams that have gotten screwed because of it, and yeah, it made bowl games much more important. But once the big dogs were floating around the idea of a 14 playoff, it was
Yeah,
only and that happened. It was only a matter of time before it was going to get expanded, especially to avoid a Florida State situation that we got last year.
yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
yeah. Florida State fans were pretty upset because with the Georgia, they're like, oh, their quarterback's out. They can't be in now. You can't put them in. But they won the national. They won the SEC.
Yeah,
Do you, okay, this is a question. This is just like a personal question. Out of all the bowl games, is that I hate that they revolve where the national championship is. I hate it. I hate it because for me, there's one stadium where it needs to be every year, and I think I've told you this before, but I want to know what's your like what's the bowl game that you like the most
I
of
think
like the major
I
ones.
I
I'm
think
not talking about the Gator Bowl, the Belk Bowl. We're not talking about any of those.
well, Luke, it's funny she asked. The Pop Tart Bowl. No, I'm kidding. The
Well, the Pop Tart Bowl is fun.
it is pretty fun,
Is that
but
more just because of the mascot or the bowl,
I think it's
the
a bit
bowl
of both.
game?
I think it's a bit of both, honestly. I mean, mascot's pretty epic, but
I think it's just the mascot.
but well, I think it's a pretty obvious answer here, Luke. It's the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it has to be. The Rose Bowl is the best, and to me, that should be the national championship. That should be where it is every year, because you're always gonna have good weather, because it's out in California. It's Southern Cal. It's great, great, weather. But it's just like the stadium. It's big. It's classic. It's grass field, not a dome. None of that. It's just what it's meant to be. That's the Rose Bowl is the Rose Bowl. You just can't beat it.
But
And
yeah,
I wish that's where it was gonna. But now every year the Atlanta. It's always in Atlanta. Everything's in Atlanta. Atlanta sucks.
but they answer
I'm
my
sick and
question.
tired of Atlanta.
But they answer my question. Yes, absolutely. I just think it should be like the NCAA, tournament when it comes to like all the other sports. I feel like if you win your conference tournament, you should be rewarded. I don't care if you're a MAC school. I don't care if you're a Sun Belt school. I don't care if you're Big Ten, ACC, or whatever. You should be rewarded for winning your conference tournament or your conference championship. Excuse me. And I get it. It's a different. A Ohio is probably not beating a Georgia. Probably not. But if you want to add, I mean, well, especially since Ohio lost
Yeah,
their.
and Northern Illinois is probably not beating Notre Dame. Oh wait,
Yeah, see what you did there. See what you did there. So I don't know. I don't think that's ever. Is that going to happen? No, I don't think that is going to happen. Maybe it will happen. I don't know. But I think it should happen because everyone complains about the conference championship not meaning anything only if you win. Yeah, no crap. It's your conference championship. It should mean something. But if you want it
yeah,
to mean more, you win your conference championship, you're automatically in, no questions asked. and then
Okay. Yeah.
everything. I don't know if it would be in a 16-team playoff or something bigger, but in a 16-team playoff it would work, and then the teams that were the teams that were in the top 10 or whatever, or in that rankings, however it works, depending on who wins the conference championships, then you put in who deserves to be in there based on rankings.
Yeah, but then you lose if you go to 16. You kind of lose the idea of the bid stealer, which is very fun.
So you think it should be a 12-team playoff and two at-large bids?
I don't know. I don't know. I think this is. I like where we are right now. If they eliminate the buys for the conference champions and just make it the top four, I think I would be okay with that. But also, like I also just feel like you need to reward a conference champion in some other way because in no other time are they ever going to give a Boise State that's Boise State's done everything they need to do, and still they if it wasn't for the conference champions they wouldn't have given them the bye. You know what I mean? So I think I just have to watch it play
Hey,
out for like a
hey,
couple of years to really get an
hey.
opinion on it, and that's such a cop out answer, and that is
Yeah.
such a meh
I
that
don't.
people are gonna be like, oh, shut up, Luke.
No, I think that's fair though, because this is the first time. This is the first time.
Like I hated the four though. I hated the four.
Well, I mean, there were also a lot of. I mean, Florida State's the biggest answer. This is the biggest example, but there were other teams that got screwed. I forgot what year was it when Baylor got screwed. God, I can't.
2014.
Yeah, I thought Baylor should have been.
2014, they were like, oh, they didn't play in a conference championship game. So, even though they won the conference and they had the head-to-head against TCU, it was I think they were 4-5 or 5-6, and they put in. I. It sucks because of course that year they put in Ohio State, that won the national championship. They were at the four. That was the Ezekiel Elliott and show where he just ran for 280 yards against everyone that year. But yeah, that was tough. That was tough. But the Florida State, I really sympathized with Florida State last year, and I don't think they were a top four team. Like I just don't think they were. But still, it's hard to disrespect the. I mean, they were undefeated.
I also people still talk about TCU in the CFP of years ago.
Yeah.
Then they always point to the fact that they got absolutely steamrolled by Georgia, but then they completely forget. They like to ignore the fact that they beat Michigan, who was
Oh,
undefeated.
it was one of the greatest games of ever. That was one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
And you also had C.J. Stroud, Ohio State against Stetson Bennett in Georgia in the other game. That was damn. We had a good Luke. We had a good, but
This could be great.
this
This
could
could
be
be
great.
great though.
But we are dragging on a little long. I'm getting hungry.
Wait, who's your pick? Who's your pick then?
Oregon. Well, no. I can't say that because I had Ohio State as my national champion. Damn it. No, I can't. I can't choose Oregon. I had Ohio State as my champion before the season started, so I have to stick to my guns, I guess.
Oh crap! I don't know who I picked.
I did. Hey, I will say I did pick Clemson to win the ACC, and a lot of people thought that was kind of a weird
Yeah,
pick.
I picked Virginia Tech out there, which didn't work at all. I mean, they actually they had a really bad start, but they picked it up there at the
Yeah.
end, I think.
Well, okay. If you were to say it right now, go. Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
rolling with the horns.
Okay.
I think Quinn Ewers gets it figured out. The offense, the defense is really good. The offense has just been tough, but I think with their draw, their offense will be able to push around Oregon's defense. I think they could push around Ohio State's defense. Tennessee is the team I'm looking at to give everyone a scare. I don't know if I can trust Ian Malava or whatever Nico,
Yeah, Nico.
but he's really good. But the team is really good, and they have one of the
He's
best backs in
he
the country too. So
he is what people thought Dylan Raiola was as a freshman. I mean, because Nico's a freshman. Remember that.
yeah, Dylan Raiola is. I hate that dude. Be your own person.
But we are tracking so long here. I'm hungry. I haven't ate lunch yet. I want to get my patented energy drink in. I was gonna go get it, but I didn't. I couldn't. But
You can't drink those energy drinks on an empty stomach now.
no, I cannot. Might go get me a sub. I don't know yet, but we'll see. Anyway, this has been CFP Sports Talk. That's Luke Scott. I'm Colin Neal saying so long for now. And like I said earlier, before we decided to do a whole segment on the CFP, who knows if this episode sees the light of day because news can happen. I don't know. And we did this all for nothing, but hopefully, if we do take this episode down, it is because of, or not post this episode, excuse me, it is because of good news that Sam Houston's got their head coach, and But anyway, we'll see what happens. Y'all take it easy. The holidays are here. Y'all be safe and you know, just have some fun. And to those who are graduating soon, congratulations to all y'all at Sam Houston. It's a great honor. Enjoy it. Enjoy the moment, and good luck to y'all in the real world. Because it's so fun.
Congratulations,
It's so fun.
distinguished alumni,
And
distinguished brothers and sisters.
okay, we don't have to get so formal. The brothers and sisters of Sam Houston. Oh God, that's all right. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm ready to hit the can, Luke. I'm tired.
Eat 'em up, cats.
Eat 'em up, cats.